Well, we sure hope you're talking about Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani with Jerry Usher, and as we have been saying for almost 8 years, you are the key person. We introduce the topics, and you take it to great heights because that's the way the Take Two family does it. And today's topic, Jerry, I'm looking forward to it because it's a question that I think as Christians, we think about a lot because we spend a lot of time in the workplace doing the work that we need to do in order to put food on the table, right? And so we're asking the question, what makes your job the best place to work? And I think it's important we weave in our spirituality, Jerry.
Well, and hopefully you do love the place that you work. Sometimes we find ourselves in jobs that are not all that enjoyable, maybe outside of what we were trained for or educated for. But if you really, really love your job, we would love to hear from you. And as Debbie said, we'll tie this into a spirituality because the church talks a lot, especially in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, about human work, human labor. A part of man's dignity is derived from his work, from his labor. We know from Genesis, God said, have dominion over the world. And so if you really, really like or love your job, what makes it the best place for you to work? 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986.
So we're asking the question today, and you don't have to be Catholic to call in. You work, you're out there doing something, right? What is it? I mean, maybe you're at home taking care of the home and the family. That is work, folks, and that is a good and great and noble vocation. So we want to hear what makes you happy about that work that you do every single day, taking care of your beautiful, precious, God-given family. Okay, I think I can safely say this for all of us here at EWTN, and Jerry and I, we talk about it all the time. I think one of the best things about the best place we work is where we can freely talk about God. And that is huge. It just lifts a big weight off, our shoulders saying, wow, I got to be careful how I say this, or I can't offend, I can't do this. No, we can freely be Christians and talk the Christian talk without feeling like there's not going to be any repercussions. And I think that is very, very important, and it makes our ministry work, our vocation, much more enjoyable. Wouldn't you say, Jer?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And we know that when we put this topic out there today, what makes your job the best place to work, a lot of people might be actually at work and unable to call. So if you're able to call, if you're in a position to call in and share your take on this, please do. Maybe you have a day off. Maybe it's your lunch break. We have the lunch bunch on the East Coast of the United States around noontime. And maybe you've just finished going to daily mass or dropping the kids off at school. We're simply asking you, do you really enjoy, do you love your job? You can brag on it a little bit right now. 833-288-3986. And here's a good question for you, Take Two family. Do you get up in the morning and do you feel like you are working in the job that you were created for? It's a beautiful question. I think I am, Debbie. I was pretending to be a disc jockey when I was 15 years old. I got into radio, had my first radio job at the age of 18. So I put my feet on the floor, and I think I can pretty confidently say the work that I do is what God created me for, and I'd love to hear what other Take Two family members have to say.
I would agree with that. I think you're going to die with a microphone in your hand. When we bury you, can we put a microphone in the casket?
Yeah, please do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. And we could put like the on-air sign like right above your casket. Right. Wouldn't that be cool? You got to have a sense of humor.
Broadcasting in that heavenly broadcast booth.
You got to have a sense of humor. But no, Jerry, okay, so you're talking about radio, okay, and media. I understand that. But what about your vocation with you being in ministry, talking and spreading the gospel message? Okay, so let me ask you this question. You said you were created for radio. I understand that, and I would agree with that. But let's say, if you had to have a choice, would you be in secular radio or Christian radio?
Well, you anticipated something else I was going to say, and that is I did get started, like I say, as a disc jockey, doing news and just about every position there was and every day part there was in secular radio. And now, since I've been in Catholic radio since about 1996, I believe, 1996 or 97, I could not see myself going back to that, not just because of the positives of being on Catholic radio and being able to proclaim Jesus Christ, but a lot of the negatives, of secular radio. There's just so many ideologies and godless stuff that's out there. It would be really hard for me to go back in the other direction. So there you go.
I totally agree with you. So we want to hear from you. There's a few open phone lines, 833-288-3986. What makes your job the best place to work? Now, we cover here the good, the bad, and the ugly and everything in between. That's what Take Two is all about. We roll with everything that's just real and raw in the world. And so maybe you want to take it to the opposite side and say, you know what? It is not the best place for me to work, and I'd like to talk to you about it. Absolutely. We're here. That we're journeying together. We're the mystical body of Christ. There's one open phone line. If you feel one open phone line, if you feel I'm thinking pledge drive already, which we start tomorrow. So and by the way, spring pledge drives are underway all around the country. Please step up. Please step up. We need Catholic radio now more than ever. But there's one open phone line. So if you feel that nudge in your spirit and you want to share something about the place that you work at, because you spend most of your waking day there, and it's very important. And those people that you work with, if you have a lot of co-workers, they become part of your extended family sometimes. So let's talk about it. 833-288-3986.
Yeah, Debbie mentioned the pledge drives. I got a text from our good friend Dale Artho at St. Valentine Catholic Radio in Amarillo this morning, and they are one of the groups that's having their spring fundraiser, first ever actually spring fundraiser for them. They've had, I think, some in the fall, and that's today and tomorrow. So our longtime partners, St. Valentine Radio in Amarillo. Tomorrow, Debbie and I start a 3-day, it's 3.5 days. We'll be on for 3 days, the Sacred Heart Radio in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. So wherever you listen, folks, if you hear your station come on the air and say we really could use a few bucks, you know what? Give them a few and then a couple more. Why not? Stretch yourself. Be sacrificial, especially during this Lenten season.
During Lent. Yes, please. Okay, this is the way the Take Two family takes on these great topics. Come on, you guys. Let's keep calling. We have like a back waiting area. So we have the front lineup that is going to come on air with us, and then Matt is screening the calls that are coming in behind that. So you can keep calling. There's plenty of lines. 833-288-3986. We're asking the question today, and we need your help. What makes your job the best place to work? That's what we're asking today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we sure hope you join us.
If it's central to the faith, you can find it on EWTN Podcast Central, featuring the best of EWTN radio, as well as faith-filled podcasts from our friends and affiliates across the nation, all in one place, all free. The destination for great Catholic audio programming is EWTN Podcast Central. It's like podcast heaven. Visit EWTN.com/radio/podcasts today.
For nearly a century, the National Catholic Register has been moving minds, moving hearts, moving souls, and enriching our readers' lives by spreading the truth of the gospel. Today, that tradition continues with award-winning journalism that goes beyond any secular news service, while bringing much-needed light and clarity to the issues and events that affect you and your family's future, all with faithful and courageous reporting guided by the teachings of the Catholic Church. It's more important than ever to join Catholics who depend on the Register. Get 6 free issues today online at ncregister.com/radio or call 800-421-3230 and mention code radio. That's ncregister.com/radio or call 800-421-3230 and mention code radio. The National Catholic Register. Read faithfully.
We have a lot of calls we're going to get to in just a moment. You can email, you can post on the social media, Facebook or YouTube. You can post on the show website, take2show.com, asking you what makes your job the best place to work. What do you love about it? Or maybe it's the other side of the coin, as Debbie said a minute ago. I want to mention before we go to the calls that there is a book available from EWTNRC.com that I think is very, very useful and helpful, especially in our day. It's called A Primer on Moral Theology. It's by Father Brian Malady, who is the host on EWTN's Open Line on Thursdays. The book shows you how the road to happiness through the wisdom of St. Thomas Aquinas and Aristotle is easily navigated by you as you learn about the correct understanding of the formation of passions and freedom and discover Aquinas' 6 arguments about what satisfies our intellect, the key truth denied in modern psychology that leads to immorality, and 4 reasons why human destiny cannot exist in exterior goods. It's on the inside. That's a primer on moral theology, Father Brian Milady, available at EWTNRC.com. We encourage you always, buy Catholic, shop EWTNRC.com.
Speaking of radio or television, I was watching a live broadcast the other day on cable TV, and I really feel sorry when hosts, radio or television personalities, when they have like a sore throat or they can't, and they're trying so hard to get through the broadcast and they're struggling, and you can hear them struggling. And it breaks my heart. Does that ever happen to you where you hear them struggling and you're like, oh, come on, you can do it. Just get through it. And you can almost see the cartoon bubble over their head that they're just wishing it to be over with.
Yeah. Well, I've been through things like that. You cough, you sneeze, when you're on live radio, but even more so on TV. Yeah, these things come up. I've always marveled how they can get through like an hour broadcast and they're not swallowing and clearing their throat and all that kind of stuff. It probably takes a lot of very unique training to do that.
Right. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not as easy as it looks, and it's interesting. So it is a work that people enter into, and they put their heart and soul into it. So let's hear what Rosemary has to say in South Dakota on Real Presence Radio. She is first up here on Take Two. Hello, Rosemary.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
I'm retired, but when I worked in California, I love volunteer work, and this is church-related. At St. Irenaeus Catholic Church in Cypress, California, the pastor wanted to raise $600,000 to renovate the church campus because there's only one, they need to renovate the church campus, and I love that. We were on a team, and we had to call parishioners for pledges, and Father Patrick also wanted to do an outreach program if there are issues that parishioners have, like sickness or death or whatever concern they had. And then at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in California, we had a church. There wasn't a church festival for 30 years. So we had a church festival. There was a committee, and I was the co-finance chairman. I would go to numerous businesses and ask them for monetary donations. Or like I remember at Cal State Fullerton, they had a campus store. And I went in there and I talked to the owner, and I said, can you give me a donation for our church festival? And he said, I'll give you $100 worth of merchandise. I will also give you $100. And I love that because in that I was like my own boss, and I would write down everything the business said. Sometimes they only did donations yearly, semi-yearly, quarterly. I wrote down everything on a business card. And I lived right across the street from the library, and I would go and log everything they told me. And I loved it because I love doing volunteer work like that, church-related. And I felt I liked doing volunteer work more than being at a paid job. And I think I'm very good at fundraising, and I just loved it.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, Rosemary, you're preaching to the choir here with me and Debbie and so many others at EWTN. We do a lot of, we've done between us about 400 Catholic radio pledge drives over the decades I'm saying now. But, God bless you for that. And I'm sure this was, Debbie, for Rosemary, it was very edifying, very, very much, a lot of blessings you get when you do this work. It could be hard work, but, when you're doing it for the Lord and you're thinking this is going to go towards saving souls, changing lives and saving souls, I'm sure that's a huge part of what made it such a blessing for Rosemary.
Oh, yeah. And Rosemary, you were speaking right to our hearts, because that's how we feel when we work very hard to help to raise money for Catholic radio stations, because you're part of something bigger, and it's beautiful when people come together. Like you said, the pastor needed to raise the $600,000. Well, you're part of this big effort, right? And when it happens, and when everybody does their 100%, they do their part, and it comes together, and things happen, and you get that project done, or that big appeal finished. It's a very big, let's face it, it feels like a very big gift you're handing over to God, saying, I did my part in this. And I can totally relate. And I'll tell you, God bless you. Now, you did just say you love fundraising on air across the world. So don't be shocked if you get some phone calls that they'll take you out of retirement and ask you to raise more money. What do you think?
Do that, Debbie. I would love to do it.
Okay, well, Jerry and I might be calling you, so there you go.
Right.
Hey, good.
Thanks, Rosemary. Beautiful phone call to get us started. God bless you there in South Dakota, listening on Real Presence Radio. 833-288-3986. What do you love about your job? What makes the best place for you to work? Laura is in Washington, D.C., a first-time caller listening on EWTN.com. Hi, Laura. Welcome.
Hey, how are you? Thank you very much for taking my call.
You're welcome.
My name is Lara. I'm outside Washington, D.C. in Maryland. I will have to apologize first because, as you can see, English is not my mother tongue, but I will do my best. I love your program.
You do great.
I love everything you do in radio. I usually wake up listening to EWTN in Spanish, but I immediately turn at 8 a.m. to listen to the Mass and to listen to your program every day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Lara.
My message. Thank you. I'm originally actually from Argentina. I had the blessing to come to the U.S. 7 years ago. I applied for an international position here in a very important NGO in Washington, D.C., and I won the position. And the message for you today and for the audience today would be, choose the place in which you feel you can serve. I was trained as a communicator. I had a chance to work as a communications consultant, corporate communications. I worked a lot in print media, and then I finally found that my call as Catholic was to work where I could serve. And sometimes it's not easy for us Catholics, especially we have a family, we have bills to pay. Let's go for the best job, the one that gives us the most money. And I went through that situation, and I said, I am going to find a way to serve, and I'm working in this international organization who serves underserved populations in 27 countries, bringing education, bringing digital skilling, bringing economic opportunities. And I think that when I put my heart and my service and God-given love into my work, I found the best work in the world. And as soon as you mentioned the topic you were going to discuss today, I said, I've been hearing to these friends of mine for almost a year. Today I'm going to call.
Oh, and we're so glad you did, Lara. That you speak beautifully. I just have to say, and I love your tone. I think your heart comes right through in your words, which obviously can help in the work that you do serving others. That's key, to have that beautiful, pleasant tone, and it spoke right to my heart. I agree with you. To serve is probably one of the most rewarding things we could do, especially as Christians, because it gives us a chance to really demonstrate Christ, to really be Christ to others. Mother Teresa, perfect example, and she used to say it all the time. And Lara, I so agree with you. I have a business management background, so I could have possibly easily gone that route, which I did for a while. And you're right. The bottom line, the paycheck is much bigger when you're in the business world and things like that. I get that. But this is, doing ministry of something that has a vocation tied to it, something that has a bigger meaning that touches your own soul and touches others, I think really is phenomenal. And you do have to sacrifice a lot in order to be able to go into this kind of field, but the rewards are great. They really are. And what do you say to that?
As you were speaking, I was thinking about some of the things I could tell you about the presence of God within our workspaces. And I'm here next to the image of my Suyapa Virgin brought last week from the Catholic Church of Suyapa in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. And I agree completely with you. And maybe my final message for every beautiful friend we have listening today is bring your cross, bring your virgins, bring your images to work. Let others know what you feel, what you stand for. Show them the love that Jesus Christ has for everyone, and talk about our greatest and divine love every day at work. I appreciate having me. Thank you so much. I'm a big admirer, and I love
Laura.
your show. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. You were anticipating me, Debbie. I had made a couple of notes. One, I was going to say we have to sometimes make sacrifices in order to do what God is calling us to do, and you said exactly that. And plus, choose what makes us happy. I mean, it's understandable. We all need to make a living, feed ourselves, feed our families, and all of that. But there's a certain point where we sometimes people go after that as the primary goal. To make more and more money, and it doesn't make you happy. When we want to. I mean, it can make you happy, but we should choose what's going to make us happy, especially in our relationship with God.
Absolutely. Well, here's what I used to say, because I was a volunteer coordinator at the church for many years. And if you are listening right now and you're in a job where you really don't get to really serve or really demonstrate your faith or be Christ to others because you're in some kind of job that doesn't allow you to do that, it's okay. It's quite all right. You need to make that money to support your family. That is important. And God wants us to do that. He wants us to be responsible. What I would say is, give a little bit of your extra time to the church and volunteer at the church when you can. And tell the church that you have a very busy job and you can only be a greeter at one of the masses, not all of the masses, just one of the masses. State what you can do, because I do think when you do that extra time of volunteering, Jerry, that can kind of make up what maybe you don't get to experience during your work week. What do you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't even add a single syllable to what you just said. I think it was very beautifully put, and good words of advice and wisdom for us to take into account. So, yeah, I agree completely. We have a phone line that's open here, 833-288-3986. What makes your job the very, very best place to work? If you're on the line, hang on. We're going to get you on the program. We're going to go to Katie next in Massachusetts, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Well, I am working today, and you two are often part of my work days. I'm driving between patients. I'm a hospice nurse, and I do home hospice. And the thing that struck me, that made me realize I thought I'd like to call you, was, when you were saying what makes it, like, the best or what you were made for. I don't know if this is the job that God made me for, but it's definitely the job He called me to right now. And one of the reasons why it's so amazing as a Catholic to do this work, even though it's a secular organization, is that end of life is still an area that's sacred and hasn't been really encroached upon in medicine yet, to become politically correct or to try to censor faith. And there's that recognition that people have spiritual needs at the end of their life, and that they need that support and teaching. And so I'm really very free to be myself and to love them wholeheartedly and to really share with them at whatever level they need, that spiritual support, as well as obviously the nursing support. But for me, even when people are not, say, open, I'm there. I get to pray for them no matter what.
Yeah. Well, as you're talking, you touched upon something that I had just made a note about, and that is any hospice work that doesn't include a spiritual component, I'm afraid is being really negligent. I mean, there may be some hospice, organizations that aren't particularly religious, but I mean, that's at the point of life where people need that spirituality and the faith aspect more than ever. So, Katie, that's beautiful that you're able to do that. And I know a deacon in our parish does hospice ministry. I've for one summer when I was a seminarian, I spent spent about 8 weeks in a hospital in the hospice, the oncology wing and hospice, you get as much or more out of it as you put into it, and that's so it's beautiful what she's doing, Deb.
Well, and Katie, there's so much I can say because since you listen to our show on a regular basis, you know how nurses mean the world to us, and especially end of life nursing. What you're doing is a special ministry that every time I think about the hospice nurses that tended to my dad and my mom, I well up in tears because they were the very best and the most caring, the biggest hearts. So many of them were deeply religious. And what you're doing to care for the souls as they transition and meet the Lord is very, very important work. But you're also helping all of the families that are still having to deal with the death of their loved one. So, Katie, there's so much more I could say about this, but I know you're at work, so if you want to go ahead and get back to work. We don't want to jeopardize your job at all, and we love you to pieces. Thank you for calling in, and thank you for the great, fine work that you do in nursing. We'll be right back.
833-288-3986. Sorry about that. We have a line open. Join us. Tell us what you love about your job. Why is it the best place to work?
Do you Roku? Roku is a small black box that allows you to instantly stream EWTN to your TV. All you need is a high-speed internet connection, a TV, and the Roku player. For more, visit EWTN.com/Roku.
Discover the road to happiness through the wisdom of St. Thomas Aquinas in A Primer on Fundamental Moral Theology. In these pages, EWTN host and author Father Brian Mulady unpacks how the Church is called to help form our secular culture, and not vice versa. Father Mulady explains a spectrum of truths, refutes relativism, and demonstrates the consistency in Church teachings through the centuries. Learn how Catholic moral action can help you avoid the modern philosophical pitfalls that populate our world. A Primer on Fundamental Moral Theology by Father Brian Mulady, the latest release from EWTN Publishing, now available at EWTNRC.com or call 1-800-854-6316. That's EWTNRC.com or call 1-800-854-6316.
Stand Tall Today features an incredible fellowship club with over 300 members, Zoom presentations, individual, group, and crisis coaching, exclusive interviews, and more. Initial consultations with one of our outstanding team of life coaches are always free. Stand Tall Today is designed to help you on the journey of life by sharing hope, love, peace, and joy, and by being a light to the world. Visit StandTallToday.com.
Hi, this is Dr. David Anders. Are you curious about the Catholic faith and need answers? Call to Communion is the show for you. Today at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
You still have plenty of time to call in and tell us what makes your job the best place to work, or you can tell us how you can use your confirmation name. You don't have to out yourself in the place that you work if you want to share that it's not the best place. We would love to chat with you, but you do have time to call in. But hurry, 833-288-3986. The pastor last Sunday did that at Mass. He was calling down all the volunteers to give him a blessing. And there were so many volunteers that he said, okay, come on, make your way, take your time, but hurry.
Yeah.
But get moving.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That number again, 833-288-3986. Patrick, hold on in D.C. We're going to get to you right after Diana in Hibbing, Minnesota, listening on Alexa today. Hi, Diana.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
I beat you. I said it first.
We're buried in snow up here in Minnesota.
I'll bet.
Record snow. So,
really?
So, yes, we got like 126 inches already, and we got more coming in tonight.
My goodness.
Yes. So we're all having cabin fever a little bit, but
I'll bet.
But yes, I am very grateful for the job that I had all my life. I'm retired now and a full-time mom and grandma. But my job was, I was a hairdresser. And so I worked for somebody for the first probably 15 years. And then the last years I had my own beauty shop. And at that time, I was the only one in my shop. I didn't have anybody else working for me. And the beauty of that was my customers were customers that I had for years and years and years. And because we were alone out there, they shared very intimate things. And I was able to pray with them at the time or pray with them later or pray during the week that they didn't even know I was praying for them. And then the last probably 15 years, I was able to go into the nursing homes and the homebound and the elderly apartments and assisted living places. And I just did that for the last 15 years. And to be able to bring Jesus through my work was very rewarding to me. And I feel like, especially with the elderly, some of them didn't have much family to visit or friends, and I became their friends, and some of them even I felt family, and also watched them die and spent time with them at their deathbed. So it was very rewarding, and I always felt like it was where I was called.
Wow, Diana. And you were following Katie, who was a hospice nurse, and that it really speaks very close to my heart, and it means so much to our family here. But Diana, what you have done in the service work that you've done and making people feel beautiful, having their hair done and having them, cared for, that they matter, and you spoke with them and you gave them a little bit of sunshine during the day. I can attest to that because my mother always had her hair done every single week until the day she died. And my mother loved her, and they called them back then hairdressers, but now there's stylists or hair, and salon stylists. And my mother actually probably would have chosen the person that did her hair over most people she encountered, because she loved that the fine women that cared for her and made her feel special and beautiful. And it was a small thing. My mother had short hair. She didn't have very long hair. It wasn't very hard to do. However, my mother felt like a queen for a few minutes each and every week. And Diana, I just want to say to you, the work that you did, you have no idea how I think you do, because you probably saw their reaction, but it had a very lasting impact on people. I saw it when I used to sit in the waiting room waiting for other elderly women to come out of the salon, and you could feel they just felt better about themselves. So thank you for the beautiful work that you did to make people feel like they were special.
And I just say thank you, Jesus, for the opportunity and the gifts and talents that he gave me, and that I was able to share him through that. And it was just done by, like you said, a conversation, caring, listening. People need to be listened to, and you don't have to have all the answers. So I learned a lot through those elderly. I've learned so much about life just listening to them. So, yes.
Well, you hit on a key point too, Diana. You're grateful to God. You deflect the glory up to God, but you don't deny the fact that you are gifted and the fact that God gave you a beautiful heart. Humility is simply acknowledging the truth that if God has given us certain gifts to be utilized in a particular environment, we need to do that and be grateful to God that we have those gifts. But like you said, you were able to bring Jesus to them, so that's really the key in all of this. So I echo everything that Debbie said.
And show them dignity and respect and love and care care. There's so many things that go into when somebody cares for you like that, especially doing your hair or something of that nature. I didn't mean to step on you, Jerry, but I just wanted to emphasize that, because sometimes people say, well, is that such a big event? It is for people. When people are cared for, it goes a long way. Diana, any last comments?
Nope, that's it. I thank you for your program. I try to listen to it as much as I can. So thank you for using your gifts and talents. So,
well, we'll pray that you get out of the house pretty soon with that 10 feet of snow that you've had already. And I think you said more is on the way. So be safe, be warm, and huddle up with some family members and loved ones. Thanks,
Yes.
Diana.
Thanks, Diana. Diana just freed up a phone line if you'd like to talk about your workplace. And, maybe we should state this right up front before we get to Patrick. So many of you listen at work. You have your earbuds in. The way we know that is because you send us emails and you're like, oh, I was listening to you. So listen, if God forbid anything happens at work and your boss comes to you and says, hey, this has got to stop, feel free to contact us. Well, who knows? Maybe we can make a phone call to your boss and say, can you just spare an hour so they can listen to Take Two?
Get the boss started listening. He'll understand.
That's right. That's right. We don't know if it's going to work. They might not keep you if they get a phone call from us. But we just love you guys so very much that you're willing to do that and spend your workday with us. That's why we love the Take Two family. Okay, so now take your break or your lunch break and call in 833-288-3986. That's the number to call. Matt Kabinski's waiting to answer your call. He'll do it very quickly. He'll chat with you for a few minutes. You'll get to listen live and come on air with us. 833-288-3986.
All right. We're going to get to Patrick, as I mentioned, in Washington, D.C., holding very patiently, brother. We appreciate that so much. Welcome.
Hey, welcome, guys. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
So my comment was I've been doing what I do for about 33 years. I'm a catastrophic medical malpractice trial lawyer. And essentially what I do is I represent the families of people who have been killed through medical negligence, or children who have severe brain injuries secondary to birth injuries. And a lot of people don't like what I do, and people have a bad notion of trial lawyers and all these things. But I must tell you, I put myself through high school and college as a critical care nursing assistant, and then one of the big drug companies put me through law school in exchange for selling pharmaceuticals for them. And at the time, in my early 20s, I just wanted to be a physician, or maybe even nursing school, because the medicine is what attracted me. But what I found through a lot of discernment, working with Jesuits and things, is that I essentially have some very good trial advocacy skills: speaking, writing, persuading, advocating, all those things. And I thought to myself, well, there's a lot of people that know a lot about medicine, but there's not a lot of people that can do what we do, which is represent people that have been harmed. And when I say harmed, I mean I have several children now that suffer from hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, and but for the medical trust, but for the trusts that we're going to be able to establish for them, these kids would have nowhere to go. I've represented families who've lost loved ones where they just care about closure. They don't care about the money. So I guess after 3 decades of having done this work, which was not my first choice, I had the perspective of looking back and saying, this may not have been what I wanted to do with my life, but I look back now and I see all the people that I've been able to help because of the gifts I've been given that I otherwise wouldn't have recognized had I just done the discernment and just tried to get a sense of where Christ was calling me. I just tried a case up in Maryland a few weeks ago, a death case, a pulmonary embolism case. And I was sitting in the courtroom while the jury was out. We got a plaintiff's verdict. I got the verdict for the family. But I was sitting there, and I was just thinking to myself, I was just myself in the courtroom. The jury was out. And I actually wound up, I said the rosary, not for the verdict, but just for the gift of being able to help these families get closure when their loved ones have been killed or severely injured. So anyway, I just wanted to add that to the mix today.
Wow. Patrick, God bless you. And again, thanks for your patience. You were on hold for quite a while. And You mentioned it would not have been your first choice, and a lot of us are in that position. And when we're going through life, we think God is going to lead us in this direction, and ultimately He leads us over here. But the thing is, it's what God had planned for you, and God has given you, like you said, the gifts I've been given. You mentioned that again. A lot of the callers, Debbie, have mentioned today. This is what I feel like I'm called and gifted to do by God, and that's when you're in that place. I think there's a peace about it, and there's an assurance that, God is with you. And Patrick, you said you pray the rosary, just, not necessarily for a verdict or whatever, but just to bring some spirituality into it. So God bless you.
I agree. And Patrick, I just wanted to say, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I was in the midst in the mix of something that happened with my family and my elderly mother, and I will tell you that how you spoke about your work and your job and the gifts that God has given you and the talent and the skills in order to protect others, and that's what you're doing. You're protecting and you are helping others who wouldn't be able to do it themselves. Let's face it, it's not the way the world is set up. Okay, so we need folks like you to step up and be those heroes that can come in. Yes, you're getting, obviously, there's some compensation to it, but like you said, a lot of times it's just for closure. People are struggling emotionally on how to make sense of things that are so hurtful to them and harm them and kill their loved ones. It is terrible, and the closure is needed so that people can move on with their life. And Patrick, I believe, based on what you shared with us today and your background and your talents, gifts, your faith, praying the rosary, I believe God is calling you to protect those that cannot do it for themselves, and that's a big work. And God, and I pray that God continues to bless you and give you the strength and the endurance to keep going and to be that hero for others, Patrick.
Well, thank you very much. It really is it's a gift to have this opportunity, and thank you for what you do. I mean, if you two didn't do what you did, then we wouldn't be able to get to express what we do.
Oh.
So it's symbiotic in a way.
Yeah, that's awesome, Patrick. Thanks for being part of the Take Two family and for joining us on the show today. Yeah, I mean, he's captured the essence of the program, Debbie, I think. We number one thing we like to do, Take Two Family, is give you the platform, give you the outlet to share your thoughts, your lived experiences, and most of all, your stories. And we're hearing a lot of great stories today.
I think this may be the only platform on Christian Catholic radio that really just lets the faithful come together and share their lived experiences so that we can all learn and grow together. And you are the catechist. This is like a virtual catechism classroom, faith formation, because we're sharing we're sharing our stories, we're sharing our Christian witness, we're sharing our lives with each other, and that is the body of Christ coming together. Speaking of a person that I believe is a hero, and I know you always say this, Jerry. I just love him to pieces, Al Cresta, and Cresta in the Afternoon is an amazing show, Monday through Friday afternoon, 4 Eastern Time on EWTN Radio. Al and his guests talk about today's news and the things that matter most. I believe he is a great hero. He would never probably say that about himself. He's such a humble man. We've had him on the show a few times, and wow, does he do fantastic ministry work.
Yes, indeed. All right, we have time to get you on the program. If you would like to give a shout out to the world about what makes your job the best place to work, or maybe not such a great place, if you want to call in about that, and we haven't had any of those calls yet today, but you can, 833-288-3986. And I just want to go back to, again, Patrick, and the dialogue that we had there following on his comment. It doesn't matter the topic that we present, Debbie. The Take Two family always bring in the spiritual aspect, the faith component of it. There are some people might, listen to the show, or if they got a glimpse of our program calendar and thought, well, how is that going to tie into the faith? We have no concern about that, because the Take Two family always brings it around to that. And the conversations are deep, they're meaningful, and they're very, very uplifting, I think.
It's interesting, too, and just we come together. So many of the Take Two family, we have very different backgrounds from different parts of the world, different life experience, work experience. Some have been through very tragic circumstances in their childhood. Some, we even have some of our wonderful Take Two family members that they're homeless right now and they listen in their cars. And by the way, you guys, if you're listening right now, we love you so much, and be safe, be very safe, because the weather is very temperamental right now. And we have people, we've had politicians call in and doctors, and we just had a lawyer call in, I mean, so, it's interesting how we all come together, and we are the body of Christ. We have to remember that. And as right now, the body of Christ is getting pretty beat up in the world. Think about it. And we have to just stand together. And that's why, Jerry, going back to pledge drives, I just have to say this because we've had, a couple calls and a couple comments come in about fundraising. It's so important that we have Catholic radio and television going strong. We need it. Our kids need it. Our grandkids need it, because, we put together the book Trustful Surrender, Jerry, and so many of the stories in there, they credit Catholic radio for bringing them back to the faith. So we need it. We need it going. We can't have Catholic radio just survive. We need it to thrive. And so if you agree with that and your local listening area comes to you, please call your friends. If you can't do it right now because money's tight, we understand that. Just call your friends and tell them. Everybody knows a rich friend. Everyone does. So call your friend and say, hey, call this number. You can do something good for other souls. That's what I say.
Well, and just to follow up on that, I've always said for many, many years when hosting pledge drives, I look forward to the day when there's not a generation who knows life without Catholic radio. And I think we're getting close to that, because some stations have been on for going on 25, 30 years. So, but, I remember, you and I both remember life without Catholic radio. And I've actually worked for a couple of stations and one large Catholic network that actually went off the air. Partly due to, not getting enough listener support, not entirely, but it's just really, God has given us this gift. We have to be the ones who preciously hold on to it and nurture it and make sure that it stays with us. So, yeah, agree with what you said.
I totally agree. And I know you're going to get to Jose's comment on Facebook, and we're waving to you, Jose. Thank you. I want to share something about a great place to work, if I may. I think it's a great time to focus on our clergy and our religious sisters, because they show up on the scene so many times, very quietly doing what they need to do. And they don't want any thank you, not great any fanfare. They don't even ask for a cup of coffee. They're off to the next crisis call or, difficult situation. And I just think we should just make, like today and the rest of Lent, thank a priest, pray for a priest, thank a nun, just go to them and say thank you. You may not know them, just say thank you for saying yes to your vocation. Because I can tell you, Jerry, working in the church, in the parish level for many years, they don't want a lot of spotlight. They just want to do their service work, and they want to do it well, and they want to be pleasing to God. And I think it would be great for us to thank a priest today.
Yeah, I think we often take for granted the things that they do for us, and in a way that's not really, it's understandable, because priests are ordained to do that, and religious brothers and sisters, give their lives in commitment to that as well. But yeah, it's just that little thank you, maybe buy them a gift card at Christmas, or find out when their birthday is and give them a card. I like to give my pastors a card on Holy Thursday, and you know why, because that's the day that we were, Jesus gave us the priesthood and the Eucharist. Yeah, so something to keep in mind. We do have some social media comments, but we also got an email from, if I can go to the email first, from Bruce.
Absolutely.
Bruce says, my job is the best. I drive a semi hauling agriculture products. I'm pretty much my own boss. It's the best. I don't have to put up with much out on the open road other than the traffic in the big cities. I don't care for that.
And our friend Bobby was a truck driver for many years, and just the amazing stories that truck drivers have, because you get to see the world from a whole different viewpoint. I love it. I just think it's amazing. We love our truckers. Thank you so much for listening. You guys listen to Take Two a lot as well. We get the comments, so thank you.
We haven't heard from Joyce, our trucker friend, for a long time.
I know. Joyce, if you're listening.
Hope you're still listening, yeah.
Yeah. Email us at take2@ewtn.com.
All right, on Facebook, EWTN's Catholic Radio Facebook page. We're also on YouTube. Jose says, I am happy and blessed with my job. We are all Catholic, and I can travel across the country and abroad, able to take my work with me. It has taken me to various beautiful places across the country. Mm-hmm. What a gift, to be able to work with like-minded people of the faith and not have to have any concerns about that at all.
Yes, absolutely. And did you want to share Monica, YouTube?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All righty.
Monica on YouTube says, this is going to warm your heart, Debbie, because you talked about this.
That's why I wanted you to share it, because I'm going to choke back the tears here. Go ahead.
At the open of the show, Debbie mentioned what an important, quote, job being a mom is, and a dad as well. Monica says, hello, my primary vocation is being a mom. I work from home, so I get to be a mom, cook, clean, helping my kids, contribute, and listen to EWTN all day. It's not easy, but it's worth it. God bless you. That's from Monica.
Monica, we love you. I was a stay-at-home mom for many years, and they say it's like 6 or 8 jobs in one. It's a lot of work, and it takes a very special person to take care of the family and the home. And the good news is you probably won't get terminated or fired like other people that listen to Take Two on their workplace. Because it would be God you'd be answering to, right? Mm-hmm. I like that.
And one of the things, if you're a regular listener to the show, you already know, is if you make a topic suggestion, we try our best to put it on the show calendar. So you can, anytime you can do that, just call us during Unscripted or on the air, or email take2@ewtn.com. But we are having a special week at the end of April. It's just about a month from now, April 24th through the 28th. Debbie, we're calling it You Choose Week, and there's a reason why we're calling it that.
Because you get to choose the topics that you submitted. We'll choose. You submit, we choose, and then those topics will be highlighted that week on You Choose Week, April 24th through the 28th. We are getting topics coming in, so that's great. Hopefully yours will get picked, and then we want to just make you even more invested in the show and part of the show. And Ace McKay, our producer, I believe he came up with the idea, and I want to give him credit because it is so, or actually you did. I think you did, and then Ace kind of made sure we could put it on the calendar. But anyway, regardless of that, we have a great show team. So everybody's working together to make sure that the Take Two family stays connected with us. And this is another way for you to be an intimate part of the show direction.
Mm-hmm. Ethan is also watching the video stream on YouTube. Ethan, great to hear from you. He says, God has blessed me with work in an awesome Canadian company, and I'm happy to give them a shout out. It's Canadian Tire. He says the people, the work atmosphere, the investment in employees is phenomenal. Nice. And all of those things, Debbie, those really go so far toward making a job the best place you can work.
Oh, yeah. When you can feel heart and soul in your workplace, that's huge, guys. That's huge. And I just wanted to say again, because we're in this very, we're filled with gratitude. We're in Lent, and it's a time for us to go deep in our own hearts and minds and souls, and also to reach out to others. Again, I'll just say it again. We absolutely, I can speak for the whole EWTN show team here at Take Two. We love the Take Two family. You guys are awesome.
Some of the topics coming up tomorrow, as a matter of fact, a lot of times when people hear a name, they associate a song with that. And so we're going to ask you tomorrow, what song do people sing to you because of your name? That's tomorrow's topic on the show. We're going to talk about one of the problems, especially among young people, and that is obesity on Thursday. And Friday, have you ever been bored with life? So we got some interesting topics coming up.
I don't think I have a song named after me. Little Debbie's Snack Cakes. I get that all the time.
There has to be one out there. Debbie,
or
there has to be a song about
Downer.
Debbie.
Yeah, but that's going to be
that's your assignment for tomorrow. You have to find a song about Debbie.
Deal. I will do it. So that's tomorrow's topic. What song do people sing to you because of your beautiful name? That's tomorrow's topic on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Again, thank you so much to the show team here at EWTN. You guys are awesome. But to the Take Two family, you are amazing. So until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. And we ask St. Joseph, please pray for all of us. See you real soon.
The most original Catholic content is on EWTN Radio. Next time.